Welcome to my Let's Play video on Foundry Update 2. This is video number 5, and I am here at the mine face where we are currently digging for telluxite, which is a very useful material which is used later in the game. And I'll show you where all this is going, but I thought you'd like to see this. This is an ore miner which you install by digging down and putting it so that it can dig the face of the vein that's available. What's really cool is if you sit there, various pieces will keep falling off, and if you go back in here and look at it, it's actually got little conveyors that are running through and going back to the machinery, and that feeds out to here, and that comes out, and each time one of those little conveyor carts gets dumped onto the belt, it goes up and it goes up the conveyor belt. We've got a little flooding issue here, yes. One of the things about Foundry is the water doesn't actually fill, it goes to a level. And like here, it'll just stop. But that's fine. You know, you can't have everything. So, let's see what the telluxite is being used for. Elevators are fun, but no elevator music. Should be an option. Maybe somebody will make a mod, put it in there. Alright, so here we are. This is deposit number 1. Over there's deposit number 2, which is way down. To get to deposit number 2, to get to the first one, I drove down an elevator and then mined out using my little laser, like that, and then put all that stuff in there and put a freight elevator. For this one, I use the orbital laser and cut open a bunch of holes because it's fast and fun, and it's also got a bit of a flooding issue, but that's what happens. You don't have to use the orbital laser. I just did it to see if I could do it. And what we're mining, I'll show you here, by using the scanner, is this is a giant vein, ore vein, but there are only a few access points. Oops. And these access points have to be found by doing this scan, and then you can see what level they are. The middle of the 3 numbers is actually the height above absolute bottom of the game. And this is what the ore miners look like when you can see them from the top. I used dynamite to clear out this space, so I've got more space than I actually needed. And if I go to the very front here, you can see that we've just started drilling this vein. Oh, yeah. And since we're here, and I've got some, I'll show you what you can do with explosives. Here you go, explosives. Fly over, throw it, press the button, hole. Yeah. Using a drill is just so yesterday. Alright, so the telluxite is going here on the conveyor belt. I have some temporary storage for it, which is actually, no, it's not even storing, it's going through so fast. And the reason I need telluxite, that's some traveling music, Professor, is that we're using this telluxite, and then we pound it in these crushers right here, and then the crushers send us these advanced smelters, and that goes to this giant machine, which is just very impressive and works really slow. And when it gets done, oops, the panel's on the other side. I was going to show you the panel. There's the panel. We're making liquid telluxite. And liquid telluxite is then used. It comes out of this pipe right there. And I have a couple of tanks here. I probably don't even need that much tankage, but that's fine. And then it's being processed in here, and it's being turned into wafers. Those wafers are like integrated chip wafers. And then the wafers go here, and they go into this very impressive looking machine, along with this, along with some acid that I made over there, and these are CPUs that I'm making in another facility, and it all gets sent. Well, I'm sorry, the CPUs get made by the wafer chip. Of course they do. And then the CPUs go here, and we'll fly along. And then the CPUs go into these machines. And these are robot parts that are being made by these machines here. And then this whole thing feeds into these machines, which are making Science 5. It's the highest level of, science level. In fact, when you look at the research tree, we'll zoom out here, there's very little of it actually left that I have not. There's those three, and there's just a few more that are a different color green, like an olive drab green. So only these 8 items are still having to be researched. Now here's something, the other thing I wanted to show you in this video are these cables, these orange cables. These are data cables. And what are data cables used for? Data, obviously. Data cables are to communicate between machines so that you can control the machines more precisely. Now I've set up a network here for my science production, and I'll show you here by going to one of my machines and bringing up the tablet. I have this configured. It says that if there are, of the Science 5 packs, if there are, I have to go here and look, I don't know why it doesn't show in this main window, if there are less than 100, then it enables these. And you notice there's no smoke coming out of these because it means that there's more than 100 sitting in storage. But where is the storage, and how does it talk to it? Well, it's this data cable. We'll follow the data cable. The idea of the data cables came in, I think it was update 1 added these all in, is that this information on this data cable is shared. If you hook up any storages, that number of items in the storage is available for all the machines that look at it. So I have all my different science production lines. See, there's Science 4, and it's not doing anything. And we're going to follow along here. And there's more data cables, and that's from the Science 3 over there. You can see there's Science 3, and there's the data cables, and there's the Science 2 facility and the data cables. And what they're doing is they are hooked up to these various containers, and this container, if I look at it with the interface, just broadcasts its contents number. Right now there's no contents number in it. On the other hand, this one has 101. And I'm using that magic number of 100. Basically, if there's 100 units, it tells the machine, quit making whatever you're making. You don't need to make anymore. Well, the idea is that this way you prevent those machines from wasting a lot of effort producing like this enormous line of Science 5 packs, or Science Pack 5s, that aren't going to be used because they aren't burned that quickly. And that's what all of this is for. See, there's 800 of these Science Pack 4s in here. Sorry, that's Science Pack 4. The magenta ones are Science Pack 5, and you don't see any because they're down here. See, there's 419. So, that's the idea of the science packs, of the the data cables. That the machines over there will know what's in the storage, and if the storage is above a certain number, that's the settings I have for it, they'll quit making science packs that aren't going to be used for anything because the machine's already loaded up with them. So that's where we are in that part of it. Let's see, we've got a few more items to see here. I won't make this as long a video. I've added some more remote deposit sites. Here's a Xeno deposit. And this is one of the ones I use the orbital laser to find. And as we go down, you can see my drone miners. Oops, wrong button. And they're not working because the machines are full. And they're mining xenoferrite. And it goes up and goes up and goes to the storage, and then it goes on 4 bands and goes around and around, and there it goes, and then it goes to here. And so what's happening is that I've got so much xenoferrite that the shuttle here is sitting over the pad because it can't unload because it's got so much there. But that's fine. Later on it might become being used at a much higher rate. And then if I move over here, this is the same thing with this ignium deposit. It's being transferred into the shuttle, into the cargo shuttle landing pad. This is a remote power operation. I've got 3 steam turbines running to provide power for here and for that other place. So that's where we are right now. And I don't think that there's really that much more to see. I've been getting ready on the space station for bigger operations, but right at this point I'm in the last stretch of doing all my science. When I finish all the science, this whole facility is pretty much pointless. Oops, didn't mean to get in your way. Which is funny because in the game Satisfactory, you're building essentially science to unlock things. You're building items that unlock things, that builds things, that unlock things, and then the final stage is sending a bunch of stuff up to the space station, but then you're kind of done. Well, here you're doing all of this science so that you can lock things, but your ultimate goal is to sell product. And I'll show you what the product is right here. It's, oops, wrong button. We are going to be making buildings and machines. We're going to be making assembly lines that will be making robots. And these, I can make little robots in these machines, and in fact I've already shown you I've got a couple of assembly lines for little robots, but these are big robots, and you build a whole assembly facility for them, and it's going to really be something a lot bigger than what I have now, and I mean a lot bigger. That building right now, which is where you send your robots, is the size of that building here, the warehouse. So it's a big undertaking, but by that point I'll have I'll have completed generating all my science. So all these facilities will no longer be doing anything. They won't be tapping any resources that I might need for all of that robotic building. So that's right now where we are. I will say that I'm really a terrible neophyte when it comes to these data systems. I'll show you. If you go down to the bottom, there's not only data cables, but there's data evaluators and memory cells and data processors and data sources and switches, and you can set up a system that will do math calculations based on your production rates. It will note what you're producing of this and that and decide if you need to enable this machine or that machine. You don't have to build a single one of those things. As they say, the entire game can be done without ever touching the data system. But it is kind of fun to experiment with, and there is a guide at the Steam product page. There is a Steam guide that tells you some more about it. But other than that, right now I'm not too deeply into it. So that's all for this video, and then what I'll do is I'll get more robots being built for the station and to be onto the galactic map, and we'll make our next video to show that. But for now, we'll just wind this video up.